Aloha, hallowed be thy name. It is I, your kin, from way back when. Today, my topic is something that's been coming up lately, and it's the power of light and darkness, love and violence and learning, and the styles therein. One might note with a little heavy duty, studious, or spirituality in their psyche that almost all the things I've said in all of my videos have been said before by many others. I just reiterate, I just say the obvious of the second Bardo, or the obvious and visible. All the psychics who are real or accurate would be able to verify most of the things I have told you if you want to check. Because often that's where I get my information. Now, you might say that the things I say or teach that I've learned experientially are more valuable or real, but that is perhaps because you are still stuck in a 3D thought form reality. Sometimes I think my dear friend Hugo could perhaps at times be accurate, that it is possible to learn things without having experienced them. What do you think? Make a comment, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. So having suffered from a very sometimes deadly skin illness, as well as cancers, blood disease, so-called mental illness, and abscess. In one quick 5-minute YouTube video I saw years ago, claimed that sunlight would heal these topical illnesses I've suffered from. When my gym was locked up in March 2020, I started on the routine I'm on now, and I may have deprived myself of water quantity wise, but quality wise increased. Bring a gallon of creek water to nearly a boiling, apply. And one of the reasons why I made the videos and the content complaining, or rather insisting an end to this war in the skies, is because over the last several years I've nearly almost finished and concluded this battle with this seemingly for many to be an impossibly endless battle with the sunlight and mental discipline and dietary discipline. And so I've experienced how sunbaths can, shall we say, without getting into any trespassing zones with your, since the poison authorities insist that I tell you that I am no authority, I am not giving anyone any advice on health here. I'm just telling you my experience. My experience has been that what Charlie Chaplin said a long time ago, number one doctor, sunlight. Okay. If applied at the right dosage, I liken it to the analogy of the Greek myth of Icarus. Okay. You're making your medicine out of the wax and the feathers of sunlight. However, you will never need to even apply organic sunscreen, let alone the kind of sunscreen that causes skin cancer because of chemicals added to it. No, you simply have to remember the Greek myth of Icarus and never fly too close to the sun. When it's a blue sky or sunny day, if you have a private place where no one can see you, or you're a member of a nudist colony, you simply have to learn, per the amount of melanin content in your skin, the appropriate amount, which in my mind is somewhere between 30 minutes and 3 hours. If you're African, if you're fully African, you might need 3 hours. If you're a whitey, if you're a redheaded Scottishman, you might need 30 minutes. That might be pushing it, but within this time frame, it's different for everyone. Which I like to say from experience, I've learned is 30 minutes to 3 hours. You get your vitamin D, your minerals, your nutrients, your DNA download, all the healing medicines. If there's been no geoengineering and there's no storms, it's a rich, deep blue sky. Um, Perhaps similar to cannabis if you compare it to topical illness. Perhaps a similar ratio. You will be able to dissolve or dismiss perhaps 95% of your topical conditions if you know how to have the right amount of duration. Okay, so if you go too long, you get sunburn or skin cancer. Yes, if you went 5 hours of sunlight as a whitey, you're kind of begging for it. Okay. The other related topic I have for this discussion was, since light itself is healing, and I must say, as I expose the camera to some of the soul's rays here, what what makes this power so healing is because many have said, mystics and scientists have said since the beginning of man created time, that we are the first species that has not only material but solar consciousness, that we have, again, as I've always stressed in my videos, we have the gift of free will to create, to think, to reason, to create. But you see the Dracos and the Zetas and the other species from the ancients, the Anunnakis, knowing this, and they have been hybridizing and toying with us, experimenting with us, and they've done a great job of remaining hidden and invisible within the structure of the allopathic and the school systems. But if one is simply just a decent, open-minded, diligent researcher, one can see the clues shining, and especially in the last 2.5, especially what happened 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, the devil was screaming at you, here I am, I'm taking over. And the only reason why it didn't happen is because, like I say, people like Ron DeSantis, who, if he wasn't in the Skull and Bones Club, he was around it as a Yaley. Christy Noam, Jim Jordan, and the thousands of people like the Santa Cruz Voluntarists who have very adamantly said no. So these species, they might be 15-foot tall reptiles, they didn't, because they have devolved. Their evolution is 100% technocratic, technological, based in the worship of the power of force, metal, money, reason, science. But there's no, they did not, they supposedly, the story goes, these little gray men cannot reproduce, and the MJ-12, they told the founders of the CIA when they created it, we're you in the future. You got to help us. So, but if you help us, we're going to give you all this great technology. And I even met a man on the 35 bus years ago. I'm not going to say his name in case he doesn't want me to be on this video. Who told me that he learned when he was in the Korean War about this, and he told me this was years ago, that they said, we're going to give you this advanced technology that will allow you to take over the world, but you're not allowed to admit that we exist or that psychic exists. Since Dan Willis hasn't had his material pulled off the internet, and Lisa Renee's, we know that the internet itself, although perhaps, like I said before, has been given to us by minions of these reptilians, it's advanced. They have very advanced, and now it's nanobot tech. They have very advanced technology. However, like I say, the rule of freedom of information had to be involved in this transfer of technology. So when I was having the trans conversation with my friend Nicholas Pace, he said, translation, and I have to give thanks to all the psychics and all of the great meditators who have brought forth the translation. The other portion I was going to speak about here was how compulsory school is your example. When they make you go to the doctor, when they make you go to school, when they make you get your, when they make you do these things, that's how you know there's probably a correlation with the dark ones, because the correlation with the devil, the Satanists, the Nazis is always forcing their will, forcing their way on you, the bully forcing their way. Okay, the Christ is freedom. If you go back, like I say, before 325, you go back before the church figured out how to use Yeshua's teachings to take over. The great sacred Christos remains. The second coming of Christ remains. Not the enslavement, but the end of the enslavement of the real Christed human, the freedom. The other thing I was going to talk about is the education system. I want to give great thanks to my homie David James Rodriguez, for all his work to help people to free from the education system, because it's a heavy indoctrination, and we all know the results. We all see the results. We all see how lawyers and doctors, and the longer you go, the more indoctrinated you become. It's obvious, blatant. So, but the opposite is also true. As I healed the 15 broken bones by laying naked in the sunshine, drinking down chicken bones, THC and CBD cannabis products in excess, and a lot of meditation and reflection, I realized that this is an avatar form, and that responsibility to have brought back my soul, or my spirit and body from that experience, was very educational. But what I was going to say is ADD, depression, which is what I went through, and many other so-called mental illnesses, perhaps 96% of the time, are the result of misappropriation, forced draconian education systems on the child. Many studies have shown, the so-called person with ADD or depression or any other one, if given the appropriate thing to study that they're passionate about, or in other words, if allowed to go on their soul's mission, even as a child, would have no problem excelling, man, no problem doing great, no problem being successful or being the level of aptitude they wanted. However, being forced to sit in a room for 8 hours a day with fluorescent lights, my friend Tiffany called insanity lights, because she was referring to what that fluorescent light does to you as a sensitive person. Okay? Solar radiation, just like cannabis, has been proven to detract or destroy about 95% of topical illnesses, even mental illnesses temporarily. The term S.A.D., before they hijacked that and made it another thing to cover their tracks, originally meant seasonal affective disorder. And so today I feel a little bit happier because I got a sunbath. So I give thanks. And like I say, lifelong learning is also what happens when you're allowed, whenever you're ready, to study what you love peacefully, respectfully, and harmlessly. And I give thanks to all of my teachers of all sorts, from the Dracos to the Christos. God bless you all.